Welcome back to the channel. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already as I try and grow the channel to 40,000. The Airbus A380 is the world's largest passenger plane, and its presence at airports right around the globe can always be felt. Its large stature and incredible engineering have made it a marvel of flight. However, its arrival and place within the industry has always been questioned as trends have shifted away from quad-engine planes to more fuel-efficient types to propel airlines forward in an era where sustainability is paramount. For the A380 story though, no airline has been more pivotal than Emirates in its story. The Dubai-based airline committed to over 100 units of the A380 throughout the years, and at its peak, had 100 plus units in active service too. However, in 2019, Emirates announced it would cancel a substantial number of remaining orders that it had for the aircraft type. As a result, Airbus would also subsequently announce a timeline for the eventual ending of the program. So while Emirates may have saved the A380 from a far worse fate, did their decision also kill the type, and were they responsible for the death of the widebody? Emirates' commitment to the A380 is something that can definitely be studied for the ages. In the 2000s, their orders for the series simply went unrivaled, with continued top-ups and on each occasion, mammoth commitments to the series that they believed would propel them forward as a leading global airline. It was an investment many would argue would pay off. Emirates remains today one of the few airlines that has got the aircraft to work like a charm for them, sticking to a business model that has truly worked. Emirates deploys their Airbus A380s to slot-restricted global cities, requiring substantial capacity. While not always utilising Dubai as an endpoint, it is geographically positioned to be a gateway between many continents. Thus, what it can do is usher traffic onward from Dubai. Say you're operating from London, a very popular destination for Emirates, and then you have a stopover in Dubai. What Emirates can do is connect you onwards to Asia, Australia, even Africa, with its Airbus A380s, which remains a very important option for these high-capacity services. But to understand if Emirates played a part in killing the A380 as much as keeping it alive, we must look at the A380 without Emirates. And the latter part of the sentence in this segment of the video reveals a lot. Keeping it alive. I want to highlight that. Emirates has made up a substantial bulk of the total A380 commitments through the years. And even now, the figures are definitely highlighted, as the airline is responsible for a staggering amount of currently active A380s. Singapore Airlines was next on the list in terms of total deliveries behind Emirates. They have, yes, substantially reduced their overall commitment to the series through the years, but compared to the 120 plus total deliveries for Emirates, Singapore Airlines just acquired over 20. It's a staggering difference. No other airline saw more than 15 deliveries than Singapore and Emirates, with all remaining either in single digits or just above 10. This isn't inherently a bad thing though, I do want to make that very, very clear. The commitments were never going to be huge for a plane like the A380 to work in most airlines' fleet. What you needed to do as a carrier was find routes that the plane would work on, and sometimes that didn't justify a purchase of say 40 aircraft, like maybe we'd see with a 787 Dreamliner, or even an A350 from the same manufacturer. However, based on production rates and general interest, what it did indicate is that per month on a delivery basis, Emirates was certainly carrying the program's life. Without Emirates, a 2021 wrapping up of production probably would have, well, not even probably, would have definitely come far, far sooner. It is also worth understanding that even when the Airbus A380 entered service, our industry was already very much changing, actually moving away from these quad-engine planes that we've loved, including the 747. Remember, Boeing also progressed with their own iteration of a new wide-body quad-engine, that being the 747-8, and in comparison to the A380, it sold even poorer in a passenger sense. But the reality is that their freighter was the saving grace in keeping the 747 legacy alive, with production only ending at the beginning of this year, and as a result for that aircraft, it will likely outlive Airbus A380s, with Emirates likely to be the final operator of the aircraft, and most likely likely no Airbus A380s flying past 2040. You'd imagine, though, carriers will get a substantial amount more life out of those 747-8 freighters. Either way, for the Airbus A380, its market share would never be substantial, but it still attracted interest and orders in the early days. When Emirates cancelled orders, reducing its backlog from 53 A380s to only 14, Airbus was given no real choice but to announce the end of production for the series, citing, well, the lack of backlog, and ultimately what can be described also as a lack of interest. At that point, while yes, a very tough decision, given the love that the plane had within the company, the realization that the space could be better used for other areas of the business was becoming more and more apparent. This decision from Emirates is largely what is labelled as the final nail in the coffin for the A380 program. But was it something that was already written on the wall? Well, if Airbus had kept production open, would have things actually improved? When examining interest in the aircraft, that really dwindled, and as mentioned, many years prior to even Emirates cancelling those remaining units, they were still keeping the program alive. No other carrier really wanted extra Airbus A380s, and remember, this was even before the emergence of the global pandemic. The pandemic changed the course of direction for the A380 even more, with, at the height of it, every single airline retiring the type, some carriers even to the point where they had no interest in ever bringing it back. Ultimately, the resurgence in demand has seen those airlines, well, some of them at least, return the A380s to service in sheer numbers to meet the increase in capacity and help them deal with delays in acquiring some of those next-generation aircraft that were intended to replace planes like the A380. With all that being said, it continues with the discussion that is there a place for the A380 nowadays in our skies? Emirates would certainly think so. They believe the need for a high-capacity airliner will, at least for them, always be there, given their business model. But their business model is becoming rarer and rarer, and in steps your 787s and A350s, even the Boeing 777. So, did Emirates kill the program so much as keep it alive? Yes, I think you could make a case for both of those things. However, equally, and if not even more so, the overall performance of the A380 was never near enough to sustain solid production levels with or without Emirates' presence. So essentially, the Dubai-based airline really dictated the performance of the plane heavily, while also dictating when it was time for the airliner to exit the industry, which it has now done in a production sense. But thankfully, no aircraft is truly ever gone, and airlines do still fly the A380 right around the world. And one day, when it is no longer in our skies and will become a distant memory, there'll be videos, pictures, and stories to tell of the aircraft flying in our skies. Just like taking a look at other former planes like Concorde and more. Thank you very much for watching this analysis here on the channel. To be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Take care and be safe, and I'll see you next time for more coverage and analysis on the aviation world.